All right, so I want to talk about some of the pros and cons of communities around East Tennessee, just coming up leading into the summer, just to give people, I mean, really, this is my personal opinion. I'm not really going to do a whole lot of like data pulling and stuff. It'll just be a lot more of like, what do locals say about these areas, and what is kind of Steven's opinion about real estate in these areas, right? Pros and cons. So I want to start off with Oak Ridge. I grew up in Coalfield, which 15 minutes basically outside of Oak Ridge. And we'll get you into Coalfield. And for us in Coalfield, that was pretty much if you needed to do something socially, or go to the bigger grocery store, you went to Oak Ridge. When I grew up, we had the big mall there. Now all the mall is gone, torn down. And it's all new businesses through there, which is great. Oak Ridge there for a while. When Turkey Creek first developed, probably really got crushed and hurt because people could just drive another, 10, 15 minutes to get into Turkey Creek. And now they've really revitalized Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge has everything someone would ever need. Now, there's probably still some things people may want, such as certain restaurants and stuff it does not have, but it has everything you need. I mean, it's got department stores. It's got the Walmart kind of right there in the center. And I think one of the cool things about Oak Ridge is like it's all right there. I mean, I feel like it's all almost in like 2 square miles. Everything is in there right together. And then it's basically just circled by residential homes. And of course, you have DOE, Department of Energy, where they built the first atomic bomb there. Secret City, Oak Ridge. So I think it's got a lot of pluses because you can be out into the country, which is, your Morgan County, deeper Anderson County, Roane County, in no time, right? So you have your four-wheeling. You also have a lake there in Oak Ridge that's right in the heart, right before you get to Knoxville. Tons of boat ramps, tons of public parks and stuff like that around there. And then, so you have everything you possibly would need. I think the school system's consistently always been rated a very top educational program, especially with their ties there to the Department of Energy there. They do a lot of stuff with them. And when people move here, out-of-state people that are very educational aware for their children, do know of Oak Ridge, and some of them will seek it out. So I think those are kind of your pros. The school itself, like from a public school system, fantastic. From a high school, they have multiple elementaries and middle schools there just to the size. But they compete. Sorry about that. They compete in sports. For region and district championships. As well as state championships there. So they're very competitive in sports there for the children. But I think it has a lot of plus. And plus, you're a lot of plus. You're only 10 to 15 minutes before you get into Turkey Creek, which is West Knoxville, which has everything. I mean, you're a bridge away from basically being in Hardin Valley, right, which is kind of the new upcoming premier area that kind of rivals Farragut as far as housing prices and stuff. It's the new homes, right? I will say, so there's a lot of pluses with Oak Ridge. I mean, I can kind of keep going on. I'm going to kind of keep this video short. So it's got everything you need, right? You can be 5 minutes from literally everything and not ever have to really leave Oak Ridge. What I will say on the cons, if you are looking for a home that's got privacy, if you are looking for a home that has a lot of land, if you're looking for a home to have horses and cows on, and chickens and stuff like that, you're not really going to find that in Oak Ridge. It is basically fully developed. It's if you pulled up lots in Oak Ridge, it's almost impossible to find a vacant lot just for sale, let alone the price being outrageous. So it's really, really hard to build. It doesn't really have a whole lot of new construction. So new home builds is not a big thing because it's so developed. I mean, it's you go in Oak Ridge and you look at it just on a satellite map. It is houses everywhere on top of each other. And on the west side of Oak Ridge, the west outer west side, you can get into some mature lots. People can have an acre, 2 or 3 at the most, right? But I don't know that I've ever really sold a lot in Oak Ridge that had, 2 or 3 usable acres. That when I mean usable is like flat, cleared, like good, nice land with privacy. It's so hard to find that in a reasonable price point. So if you are looking for that, you're not going to find Oak Ridge, as well as the age of the homes. You got to do inspections. All these homes was built during the Secret City area or era there. So you have a lot of old homes, right? So they were built with, old construction methods. So they have problems, between wiring. Everything's been updated to 2026. Best practices are not, 1960s best practices. So you just have a lot of stuff that where we run into issues wrong with homes there that need to be updated that arguably does not add value to your home. It's kind of like a necessity and people appreciate it, and it kind of needs to happen. It's like preventative maintenance, just ongoing maintenance. You got to spend money on the home to kind of maintain it as it goes up in value. But things like updating your plumbing from cast iron to PEX doesn't necessarily add home value. Updating everything to, a breaker box from 1980 to 2026 doesn't really add home value, right? Make sure all the wiring is grounded doesn't really add home value from an appraisal standpoint. So I'd say those are the cons there. Is you're going to be in older homes. Now, older homes, some people love them. They have character. But you're not going to find those modern, houses built in 2020 with the open floor plan. There's not very many of those out there in Oak Ridge. So I think that's where the pros and cons. If you don't mind the older homes, don't mind to get into something. Now, there's plenty of homes that's been updated, fully updated, and are good to go. But for the most part, what I would tell people, if you want something with a lot of privacy, land, you want some animals, dog to roam outside, Oak Ridge is not the place. That's kind of the negatives out of it. And the Oak Ridge city taxes, of course, you get the fire and the police, the garbage. They do have their own utility system as well. You get all that, but Oak Ridge city taxes are probably some of the most expensive around. And so that's the other thing you have to consider is your pretty much taxes are doubled compared to if you're living just in the counties around here. But as for the most part, right, trying to find the cons, those are the cons, but lots of positives. I love Oak Ridge. I drive through it, several days a week, heading out into showings, and as well as where my family lives, back to get into Morgan County. Got to drive through it there. That's pretty much where a lot of my family still does all their shopping at, is Oak Ridge. So as always, guys, if you ever have questions, holler anytime.